Every year, as we come to the holiday of Pesach, with all the tremendous preparations that it entails, the cleaning, the getting ready, the shopping, the changing over of the kitchen, waiting for that incredible evening, that magical evening of the Seder night or Seder nights as it may be, depending where one lives. The question that we need to ask, and this is the question we've asked in years past, and we'll give very similar answers, but the approach every year hopefully will be a drop different, or if not, a reminder is definitely in order. What's the goal? Where are we trying to head with all of this preparation? Where should our mindset be? To put it another way, what should we be able to take from Pesach for our lives? What is our goal for all of this hard work, for all of this experience? Is it just to experience a Seder night? Or is there, and obviously there is, something much deeper that needs to come out of it? A secondary question which will be answered via this question is one that the Pamei Moed Rav Rice asked in source number 1. He says on the pasuk, "Ushmartem et hamatzot," that you should watch and guard the matzos, that you make sure they don't become chametz. Our rabbis learned from this, "Ushmartem et hamitzvos," you should guard the mitzvos. And just like you shouldn't allow the fermentation process to happen by the dough, you shouldn't allow this process to happen by mitzvos, to do them sluggishly, to do them in a lackadaisical manner. And the question obviously is, why is it dafka by the laws of matzah, by the laws of Pesach, that we learn about all the mitzvos, how we should do them with alacrity, with carefulness? Why dafka from this inyan that we learn this? And we don't learn it from Shabbos, we don't learn it from Tefillin, we don't learn it from any other mitzvah as strongly as we learn it by the mitzvah of matzos, the mitzvahs of how careful we are with not having chametz on Pesach. Similar to this, he asked in source number 2, very famous question that the Mefarshim ask on the Haggadah, that when you look at the question of the Chacham and the question of the Rasha, the wise son and the wicked son, it's very hard to see the difference between them. Both of them are basically asking the same question. The Mefarshim have to tight. One says God, one doesn't say Hashem, but they seem to be very similar. And we have to understand, why is it that it's almost hard to distinguish if you look at the questions between the Rasha and the Chacham. And further, when the Rasha says, "Ma avodah hazot lachem," what is this service to you? Why dafka by Pesach does he suddenly raise his head and say, why are you busy doing all these things? And he doesn't say this by Shabbos or by any other mitzvahs, which also have a tremendous amount of detail. There's something about the holiday of Pesach, there's something about the inyan of cleaning for Pesach and matzah that sparks this question of the Rasha and sparks our Chazal to make this equation between mitzvos and matzos, and it's just not a play on word. So what is the goal of the Seder night? So there are a number of goals of Seder night. One that we have spoken about in years past, which we'll only touch on a little bit from a whole different vantage point, Mirz Hashem, at the end of today's shir, is what the Siftei Chaim speaks about in source number 3, that Nisei Yitziat Mitzrayim Lo L'Shatam Bilvad Na'asu, the miracles were not only to impact that generation, Ela Mahavim Yesod Lamunat Yisrael L'Dorot. It was in order to create a foundation of emunah, of faith, for all generations. One of the aspects that we should come out of Seder night is having a deeper level of emunah, a deeper level of faith in a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And hence, the end of the Seder, we end with the song of Echad Mi Yodea, who knows one. We repeat over and over again that refrain, that Hashem is Echad B'Shamayim U'Ba'aretz, the one, the only one in heaven and earth. Chad Gadya ends V'Ata Kadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem comes and slaughters the Malach HaMavet that then brings about the entire process. That's the goal of the Seder. The Achdus, the unity, the oneness, the realization that Ein Od Milvado, there's none other except Hashem. And that is a major focus of the Seder, and we've dealt with this in years past. The second focus of the Seder, which we've done in the last few years, and it's where I want to go again today, Mirz Hashem, is the second idea that Siftei Chaim brings. And one is really contingent on the other. Once you have emunah, once you realize without a shadow of a doubt, Hashem hu Elokim, you read about the Makos, you read about Jewish history, you recognize it can't be Vehi Shamda. And this is what has stood for us in all generations. Emunah, our faith, our solid faith in Hashem. When we have this as our bedrock, then we come to in source number 4, HaChelek HaSheni, Bo Mechayevet Otanu Yitziyah L'Cheiruti Kabbalat Ol Avdut. It's not just enough to say, I have faith, I believe, but where does that leave me? It has to leave me, and this is the second yesod of Seder night, it's Mechayevet Otanu. It forces us, it obligates us to have the ability of Kabbalas Ol Avdus, to accept upon ourselves the yoke of being servants to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. As the Pasuk says, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God, who's taken